Hey everyone, it's Melody with Design by Melody. I'm here with a process video for you. So this is actually going to be a 12 by 12 layout. I haven't done one of these in I think it's been about 2 months for you guys. So I've been doing a lot of pocket layouts here recently because that's just the photos that I have printed that I am ready to scrapbook. So I decided to go ahead and just go right in and do a 12 by 12 layout today. And I was a little afraid I was going to be kind of rusty, but it really just turned out really nicely. I focused around the photos primarily, as you are going to see. I'm going to create a couple layers and then I really went into embellishing. I went a little like crazy into the die cuts, and I took a lot of time sorting through the die cuts and kind of figuring out exactly what I wanted to use, and you will see that here. I absolutely love how this layout turned out. It's very pretty. It's also kind of dainty looking, and it's not exactly what you would originally think whenever you're looking at photos of a lake and walking with my child, my son, but I really like the way that it turned out. So again, like I said, focused on the photos first. I'm doing some layering behind this small photo. So when I printed these photos, I actually was not going to include this small photo with it. But I decided to go ahead and do that because I had printed it for a pocket layout but didn't end up using this particular photo. But it's a picture of like Kaylin's back as we were hiking around this it's like a state park, and then the other photo is just of a clearing that we came to, and we took a picture of the I guess it's a lake. I think it's a lake at that point. But so I'm just going to do a little bit of journaling about that, and that's going to be this layout. So after I kind of got my photo cluster figured out, I decided which not layout, which paper I was going to use. This is the stash kit that I put together for you guys in a like stash kit, build your own DIY stash kit. That I posted yesterday for you. And I actually really enjoyed working with the products that I put together. When I put kits together, I just don't ever really think about what particular photos I'm going to be using. I always have photos printed, so I always have photos ready, and I always feel like if I can create a kit of papers and supplies that I want to work with, then I'll find a way to use the photos that I have printed. And I may flip through 4 or 5 different sets of photos before I actually find one that inspires me and that I want to scrapbook. But I always seem to be able to find, photos to use that work with the papers. So I pick out this like stripy kind of paper, what it looks like to me. So the way that I look at this paper is that it's an aqua background with white painted stripes on it. That's how I see it. And then it has the words, the things I love most, written, like handwritten on the bottom right of this paper. And this is a Studio Calico paper. So if you did not watch my build my stash kit, go back and check that out. But what I did is I took a 12 by 12 kit, like pre-made kit from Studio Calico, as well as their pocket or like Project Life kit that they had from that month, and combined them together and then used my stash to really bulk up that kit. I have always felt from the very beginning that Studio Calico kits were a little bit lacking in the embellishment department. So by using that as the base for this stash kit, I was able to then bulk it up with a lot of things from my stash. But this paper is from Studio Calico. It is a Studio Calico design. I believe it was a One Little Bird designed paper for Studio Calico. Yes, and it is called, in case anybody's interested, it's 2017. Hopelessly Devoted is the name of the paper. And I'm going to use the words that are printed on the paper to kind of be a little bit of a subtitle. I'm going to go ahead and do my journaling, and all it's going to say is, Kaylin and I took a long nature hike at Umstead Park today. Just follow the red dots. And I do mention the red dots in the pocket page that is kind of a companion page to this layout. So we went on this hike on this like state park here in the Raleigh area, and it was a little bit rougher than I expected it to be because a lot of the other areas parks that you can walk around and lakes that you can walk around in Raleigh are paved, and they have really nice facilities, and they have water fountains and all kinds of things. Well, this state park, and I guess I just should have thought about the fact that it wasn't like a city like Parks and Rec, Raleigh Parks and Rec run facility. It was actually a state park. There was nothing wrong with it by any means, so don't get me wrong, but it was a lot rougher than what I kind of expected. There were no paved paths. Some of the areas weren't even really paths to be called paths, as you could see. Well, you may not be able to see, but the photo of Kaylin walking in front of me, basically it just looks like people have walked on leaves long enough that the leaves were kind of like packed down into the ground and you're like stepping over roots and all kinds of things. The only true indicator of the path were the red dots that were on the trees, and you basically just follow the red dots till you get through the woods is kind of how it goes. And we thought it was going to be, just a nice leisurely walk. No, we were sweating. At one point, Kaylin like takes his shirt off. I'm carrying like our waters. I should have brought, when we saw a family with backpacks and they were sitting on a log eating snacks and they had their backpacks out, it occurred to me, like, why do they have backpacks? What's the point? You're just going on a walk. Oh, no. This turned into like a 2 or 3 hour hike kind of thing. It was quite interesting. We had a lot of fun though, and I absolutely love it, and we will be going back. Of course, these photos are from 2016, but we haven't gone back yet just because there's so many other options, but I do want to go back and really explore that park a little bit more. We had picked one of the mid-range trails to go on, but they have longer trails and they also have shorter trails. And so I think it'd be kind of nice to maybe take Kaylin's bike out there, because you can take your bikes and have him ride along as we walk and explore, because it was really beautiful. It was a wonderful day, and it was really hot. Even though it was October, it was still a very, very hot day. So I'm using the things I love most as kind of a subtitle. So, the title is Time With You, and I use those white alphas that I had included in the kit, and then it says the things I love most, and then I'm just kind of embellishing around the photos. I'm going to create a small little cluster at the top here, and someone, I cannot remember right now who, but somebody gave me the suggestion of using those stamps and making banners out of them, so that is exactly what I did. So I cut the stamp like edge off of them. It says, that particular one says right now. So I cut the stamp edge off the sticker, and then cut it into a banner and just used it as a banner up at the top. And that worked perfectly. Thank you so much for the suggestion. I just never even thought about doing that, and that was wonderful. It makes it a lot more usable for me, because I don't know, the stamp thing just doesn't work for me. It just doesn't. I don't know why, it just doesn't work for me. And then I wanted to challenge myself. There are 2 supplies in this particular kit that I really am not a fan of. First are the buttons. Buttons on a layout look weird to me when I do that. Other people use it, and they use it on covers for mini books and everything, and I think it looks wonderful. But when I do it, it looks like I just dropped a button on my page and accidentally made it work. I don't know. I don't know. It just doesn't look good to me. Those buttons and then these like plasticky shape things I think are weird. So they're like super large and really big and awkward and have watercolor look to them, which isn't really my style. I don't do any mixed media really. And so I think the watercolor look, excuse me. I think the watercolor look of the shapes looks odd. But this particular like asterisk worked really well with this layout. Or rather, the color of the asterisk worked really well with this layout. It was actually the exact same teal, shades of teal, that were on the words that were printed. And since it is a darker teal, I'm kind of pulling in a couple different elements, like that right now sticker at the top is that darker teal, plus I'm kind of looking through these circle stickers to see if there's anything that grabs my attention, and there does end up being one. So I ended up deciding to use this plastic shape. This I don't know if this is the only one I'll end up using in all of the layouts that I create, or I may end up using all of them, who knows. But I did want to at least make sure I used one, and I will try to at least use the buttons once. If I don't, that's fine, they can go in my stash, but the goal is, of course, to try to use some of the supplies that are here. And I took one of those circle stickers, and it says, "Let's do this," and I just put it on a little bit of white cardstock and cut it out, because you could see the plastic shape through it. So I didn't want to just stick it directly onto the layout. But then I layered it a little bit over that plastic asterisk that I added. And that is, I suppose it's acetate. It's just a very thick acetate. But because it is thicker, I just used my Tombow Mono multi-liquid glue to actually glue that down. And you can't really see through it. And again, I think it's because it's very much a thicker shape. like a thicker piece. It does have the little plastic coating on the front though that you have to pull off, just like most other acetate pieces that you come across. So it's kind of similar. Now I thought about doing some stamping, but as I'm looking at the layout, I'm going to end up setting this aside because I don't have any black other than my handwriting anywhere on this page. I don't have any black elements at all. And if I do some stamping, I wanted to do that large circle, but if I do it, it's probably going to go on a piece of white cardstock, and then it's just going to be very bold black and white against the background when I don't really have any other black and white. One color that I have started adding in here, as you can see, is a little bit of pink. Just wanted a little bit of a contrasting color, and I have pink in a few places, and you're going to see as I go through these die cuts that I'm going to add a little bit more. These die cuts are from Rosie Studio. Do I know the name? It's Pink Lemonade by Rosie Studio. And these were sent to me by Angela. Thank you. And I absolutely love them. I love the little roses that you're going to see me pull out here in just a moment. But I kind of hem and haw back and forth about what exactly I want to include. And those little hearts that you see that I've scattered, they're like white hearts with a gray outline on them. Those are from the inside of the butterfly wings. And I didn't even realize they were hearts, so I started to punch them out. And I was like, oh, these are perfect. So I am going to be using the gray, the teal, and the pink as colors on this layout. And once I add that butterfly, which I'm in love with, I add a little bit of gold. But I think the gold works really well with my little journaling strip that is in a craft color. I didn't think about necessarily the color of that journaling when I added it. It's just on that craft piece of like that craft sticker. But by adding the gold, it kind of brings in a little bit more of that color. Now, those are the only two places on this entire layout that really have that like brownish gold color, but it works. And I'm playing around with a few of those little circle die cuts. They look like the inside of flowers. They're pink and gold and teal and gold, but they don't end up making it on the layout. But you will see me go back and forth with them a couple times. As I go through the rest of this little die cut pack, I do find more of those little flowers. So I just keep trying to make it work. I've had this weird spot right here where once I put the butterfly up at the top, I kind of had this empty spot that just needed something. So I keep going back and forth with that happy bingo card as well as some of the flowers, but I'll end up settling on the happy bingo card and just kind of tucking it there. And I feel like I end up making the butterfly kind of wrap around it just a little bit and kind of frame it a little bit with its wings. And I feel like that works out really well for that space versus having another little flower stick out. But I will move that little flower down to the bottom right of the layout and kind of have a little bit of that pink come down to the bottom here. This is kind of where it ends up settling. And then I'll just layer one of those little hearts over the top of it. And I think that looks great. So I've still got to kind of shift it around a little bit and get things glued down. But I thought it was fun to work with the die cuts like this. When I'm doing pocket pages, I typically will start to glue some of the die cuts down before I end up embellishing the entire layout. But this particular one, I kind of embellished the whole thing before I started gluing anything down. The only thing that's glued down is the acetate piece or the plastic piece, as well as that Let's Do This sticker. Those are the only things that are really glued down. Oh, and then of course the sticker at the top that says right now because it's a sticker, so it's stuck down. But the rest of this I kind of left open to be able to move around and shift around. And I'm glad I did because I end up settling on something that I really think is pretty, that really works for what I was going for. And it took me a lot to get to the point exactly to where I had them all placed. So if I had started to glue things down, I wouldn't have been able to shift things around like the way I wanted to. So I'm kind of looking at it, trying to decide exactly what I want to do. I end up putting up the die cuts and then go ahead and just take that flower off and tuck in that happy bingo card, and that's how it's going to sit. And I feel like that looks really, really nicely there. I love the flowers sticking off the left of the nature photo. And then I am going to take some of my chipboard pieces. There's one that says Note to Self and one that says Just the Beginning that are also going to layer over the top of those flowers on the left. I also had that second die cut pack that's in the that I had added into my kit, so I decided to flip through that as well. And I find this pink arrow, and that's a good way to kind of just ground those words that are to the right on the bottom. And it was also another way to bring in that bright pink down here to the bottom. I didn't need a ton of pink on the layout, but I did feel like it needed to be balanced across the layout in order to make it look nice versus making it look odd. That is just kind of placed in a few areas. So I decided to kind of look at it, see if I really like it, and then I am going to go ahead and start gluing things down. But as I'm reaching for my glue, I find these die cuts, the word strips, and so I pull out this one that says "You're the One," and I'm going to put it right here below my journaling, and that's going to bring the three colors kind of the layout together, and it kind of also breaks up that pink a little bit and ties in the teal with that little cluster that's right there as well. Now I've got everything glued down. I saved you guys the trouble of watching me do all of that, and then I pick up my layout and realize that "You're the One" banner is not actually glued down, so I'm going to get that glued down as well, and then kind of just look at it to see if there's anything else that needs to be added. This is the point to where I decide if I'm done or if I want to continue, and I am going to add one more thing. As you see, I have that little sequence pack off to the left of my layout, so I'm going to pull out some of the blue. They're a little bit more blue than teal, but there's a few sequins in there that are kind of a sky blue, but with all the different shades of teal that I have on this layout, and then of course that watercolor piece of teal, the shade of those sequins are on this layout already, so I'm going to go ahead and pull those in and just put 3 on here. One's going to be at the top by Right Now, one's going to be by my butterfly, and then one's going to be on the bottom down by the little flower that I have down at the bottom. And I'm just going to use some of my Tombow Mono multi-glue to get that actually adhered down. You just have to be careful when you're working with that. You don't want to put too much glue, otherwise it starts to kind of pop out the sides of the sequins, and then you also want to make sure that you hold the sequins down long enough for the glue to dry enough that it actually holds it onto the layout. But that is going to finish out this layout. I hope you guys have enjoyed. It's been a while since I did a 12 by 12 process video, but I really love the way that this one turned out. I just think it's very pretty, and I like the way that all the elements from the kit work together. All right, thank you so much. I'll be back tomorrow with something new. Bye!